And now I want to go to Avriana Patton, a former classmate of the shooter. She received a direct message from the shooter on Instagram at 9:57 in the morning of the shooting, just 16 minutes before Nashville police received a call about an active shooter inside the school. And the message from the shooter that Avriana read and received reads in part, and I quote, "I wanted to tell you first because you are the most beautiful person I've ever seen and known all my life. My family doesn't know what I'm about to do." She continued, "One day this will make more sense. I've left more than enough evidence behind, but something bad is about to happen." Again, these messages coming just moments before the shooting began, and Avriana is with me right now. Avriana, I can only imagine the shock that you feel and having received this and in a sense been so close to it. What more can you tell me about these messages that you received from the shooter?
I mean, I'm just shocked. Like, I just would have never imagined that would add up. You know, it's just still unbelievable.
I mean, it truly is. And I just looking at them and, you actually received these from the shooter. "I want to tell you first because you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen and known in my life. My family doesn't know what I'm about to do. Something bad is about to happen." I mean, when you received the messages in that moment, how did it even make you feel to get these messages?
I was just I was just like shocked. And initially I was, trying to comfort her. But as soon as I got it, it was just like, this is strange. Let me send this to my daddy. I screenshot to him. I was like, do I call somebody? He was like, yes. And I was like, okay, who do I call? Like, how do I deal with something like this? So then he was like, call the suicide prevention. And then that's when I started that process of trying to reach out.
Right. And you did, I know, call suicide prevention. So, there was also this, one of the messages when the shooter did not tell you what was about to happen. Obviously it was, but something bad is about to happen. And then the message said, Avriana, in this one part, "One day this will make more sense." At this point, from what you know, does any of this make any more sense to you?
I mean, can it really make sense? I'm just still completely mind boggled. Like, none of this makes sense. Like, I just would have never imagined this. Like, this is crazy.
So, Avriana, in terms of receiving a message like this, obviously, we know the shooter was 28 years old. You all met in middle school. Had you stayed in contact? I mean, was this just completely out of the blue? You were trying to remember who this was, or had you remained in contact with the shooter?
Yeah, she came out and supported me. I'm a local radio TV personality here in Nashville, so I host a lot of local not award shows, but live hosting, live music.
Right.
I do club hostings. I do live tapings of my TV shows. So she definitely was supportive. Most recently at my very first one at the NAMM. So I did see her more recently, and then I also seen her at another event as well.
So let me ask you a few more questions. One, just about the timeline. Obviously, you received this Instagram message at 9:57 a.m. By 10:08, right? I mean, just literally, you saw it, you sent that screenshot as you described to your father, you talked about it, and then you called the suicide prevention hotline. I understand, if I'm right, Avriana, they told you to call the local deputy. 10:13 a.m., you call the local sheriff's office. They tell you to call the non-emergency line, which you did immediately. 10:14, 1 minute later, you called the Nashville non-emergency line. They said they'd send someone over. At 3:29, so obviously at many hours later, someone arrives at your home. Of course, the shooting was at 10:13. Yeah, you've done everything you could. I mean, have you spoken to investigators since?
I have.
You have?
Yes.
And do you feel like that you've been able to give any sense of this? I mean, they're obviously, at least right now, seem to be struggling to understand any sort of motive for how this could have happened.
Yeah, I just shared the same screenshots that I've shared with you, just the actual message from Instagram. And so. They
So,
said, thank you for the information.
right. Okay. So, what was the shooter like? I mean, if I'm right, I understand you sort of had played basketball together many years ago, right? Talking back in middle school. Obviously, you're saying she sort of had followed you because you're a very notable person in the community. Um, what was the shooter like at that time when you knew her?
I mean, she was very quiet, very, just shy. With the team, we would like, let her know, hey, we got your back, like we would joke and be like, don't nobody foul you too hard. We got to see her grow, in her skill on the court. So, we did really good that year. We went all the way to the city. So it was a really good year for us.
And
We
and
had
and
like a real camaraderie.
And when
Family.
we hear the shooter's parents saying the shooter was under a doctor's care for an emotional disorder, again, police have told us very little, except for they say that the shooter identified as transgender. Were you aware of any of this at any point, or is that all more recent than you would know?
Yeah, that's more. I guess that would be more recent. Like I wasn't really tapped in like that.
All right. Well, Ariana, I really appreciate your taking the time and sharing this with me and sharing these text messages. And I'm sorry, I can only imagine the shock you're in. Obviously,
Thank you.
from this, so you did absolutely everything you humanly could. Thank you so much for talking.
I appreciate you guys.
All right.
And love to the family, prayers, and just love to all the families that were affected by this. We're here and I'm here and I'm going through this with you guys. Love Nashville.
All right. Thank you.